Greetings. Welcome to another edition of Business in Motion, a program that focuses on business and entrepreneurship from an Afro-centered perspective right here on WMEG Radio, Baltimore, Maryland, the #1 station in the nation with the dissemination of valuable information with no hesitation or reservation, but a dedication and an obligation to the elevation of your present situation. I'm your host, RGL Biz Coach.
The all-new WMEG Radio.
And welcome back, listening audience, to WMEG. Again, this is Business in Motion, a program that focuses on business and entrepreneurship from an African-American perspective. And as I stated, we have our guest who is on the line. I'm going to be bringing him on in just a second. But first, let me tell you a little bit about him. This gentleman is a third-generation textile artist and fashion designer who comes from Sierra Leone and Yorubaland. He is inspired by nature and the color combinations he finds there, like on butterflies, for example. He has an art gallery and black studios in Washington, D.C., Atlanta, and Lagos, Nigeria. In addition to giving us some of the most amazing clothing and accessories, he is passionate about the youth knowing their roots and capitalizing on the wealth embedded therein. So with no further ado, I am bringing to you Mr. Jimmy King. Are you there, Mr. King?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, it is a pleasure just hearing your voice, Mr. King. I didn't think I would ever see the day when I would be able to talk to you, you know? I'm familiar with you much more than you are me. So how are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. It's my pleasure to be invited to your program. Sincerely, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
More of a pleasure bringing you on. Believe me, I'm sitting here and I don't know, just subconsciously, you're not even going to believe it, and this was not by design, but I am wearing your shirt right now as we speak. It was when I was leaving the house, I put it on, and my wife says, Jimmy King, is that for the show? And I thought, oh, no, I wasn't even thinking, but I got one of your, I'll call it the Funky Fresh T-shirts. I mean, it is just so awesome. So again, just kudos to you. Now tell me a little bit. Oh, yeah. I can tell you that I became aware of your products and your clothing when I first moved here into the Washington, D.C. area. And I used to go over into Washington, D.C. into an area called Adams Morgan. And there was a store called Kobo's. And a very good brother, Bawa, who he hailed from Ghana. And he promoted your clothing. When I saw him, I just totally freaked out because I never seen colors put together that way. And I was just blown away. So that's how I became familiar with you, and I have lots of your clothing. So with that being stated, tell us a little bit about yourself. First of all, you mentioned I mentioned you're from Sierra Leone, but just tell us again, repeat to the audience exactly where you're from and you know what I'm saying, how you actually got into this business. Yeah,
I must start by saying that I work with inspiration. Everything you see that comes through me is not my work. I'm just a conduit for God's creativity. So, and so was my grandfather and my grandmother and my mother, so it kind of runs in the family. And I remember there was an interview done of Hugh Masekela, the great South African musician. They wrote an article about him in one of the newspapers, and he ran to his I think it was raised by his grandmother. He ran to his grandmother and said, "Oh, Grandma, I'm going to be a big star. I'm going to be, they're putting me in the newspapers. I'm in the music section." The grandmother said, "Hey, boy, shut up. Never get credit for God's work. You're just a channel." So ever since I heard that, I've because I know that there's everything material comes from the immaterial. So whatever you get is what you're supposed to get. So if you have talent, I figured if I have talent, I might as well use it to better humanity. So that's the angle that I come from. But I was born so many years ago in a country called contraction called Nigeria. I use that word because I feel Nigeria is about to evaporate.
Okay.
But yeah, I would rather say I'm a Yoruba man. I'm from Yoruba land.
Ha!
And my father was the Yoruba, and my great grandfather was a Yoruba man that was brought to this country as a slave and came back to Sierra Leone. And they traced their roots back to Abeokuta in Nigeria. So on both sides, I have the Yoruba ancestry, but my grandfather settled in Sierra Leone when Marcus Garvey said people should go back to repatriate. He was one of those that went back, and he was a bespoke tailor. And I found myself attracted to art and drawing and making clothes, which I've been doing from my high school days. Buy fabrics, get them made, and give to my tailors, and then take them to school and sell to my classmates.
Okay.
So I've always been a businessman inclined, an artistic businessman. And my grandmother was a tailor. On my mother's side, she was a seamstress, and my grandmother on my father's side was a textile artist. So I kind of got the inspiration from watching her over the years. Her fingers were always blue for all the time that I knew her. She was an indigo dye artist. So yes, those are the people that influenced my occupational direction or my artistic. They woke up the artistic part of me. So and then I schooled here. Went to City College of San Francisco in the 70s, and then studied business. And then went to England. I studied textile design in England, and then from there I went back to Nigeria, opened up my shop, and then that was in '86.
Okay.
And then I made trips back here. Came back after I left San Francisco, went to England, and came back here. And then I met Bao.
Okay.
First time I met him, I took 4 suitcases into his shop, and he said, "Okay, don't worry about it. I'll buy everything, but you need to come back in 2 months." I came back. He wrote me a big check. I was maybe like 20-some years old. I said, "Okay, that's cool." Then I went to New York, did the same thing. There is a brother called Ademola. He had a shop called Kinaps on Fulton Street in Brooklyn. So I took about 4 suitcases there. He said, "Oh yeah, I love this." He bought everything and gave me a check for $1,000 and said, "Bring more." So that was the first time we met, and he trusted me. So that's the parameters by which I do my business, because I was a trust from beginning. And so most people that I meet, I trust them because I know you cannot actually claim anything to be yours. Everything is a gift.
Right.
So, yeah. So if anybody has contrarian opinion about life, well, it's up to them, because I believe the karma will catch up with whoever wants to go negative. But that's about it in a nutshell. And then I opened up a few shops. In England, I opened one, closed it. In London, I still have the mothership store in Lagos, still there, and it's been maybe for like 30-something years. Now I have a shop in an art gallery in Washington, D.C. So, and I have some of my paintings. I paint, and I do fabrics, and I do clothing, and I have other people's paintings in the gallery also. We have not officially launched the gallery with an art exhibition, but the clothing and accessory store downstairs is running, and it's been on for few years now, barring COVID, where we had to shut down for a few months. But otherwise, we're open and we are rolling.
Wow.
I hope I'm able to give a brief synopsis.
Yeah, that's good, and you can continue. I mean, I'm really feeling it. You know what I'm saying? Just listening to your story and your growth.
Thank you. You know, I left out I left out some interesting parts where I came into the country with $100.
Wow.
When I first came in, to go to school. The school fees, I brought the school fees, but I had to also to take care of myself to make sure I stayed afloat. You know, but you know the rest is history. So I look at it like everything that you see with the Jimmy King label on it is profit, because I started with zero. I started with $100.
Okay.
So you can imagine what I had gone through with that kind of capital. You start with $100. So that kind of capital, you know, it's been a gruesome journey, but very enjoyable. I'm still enjoying every bit of my experience in life. And but I got some key information from, for example, the former CEO of Sony. You know, in the 70s and 80s, Sony was the biggest electronic manufacturing company in the world. Sony. So they interviewed the CEO, and they asked him, how come Sony is doing pretty good? Besides I think there was a bunch of other companies that were doing electronics, but we're not doing as good as Sony. He said the secret was to look at what everybody else is doing and do opposite.
Right.
So that your goods can stand out. Or look at what everybody else is doing and improve on it.
Right.
So you don't copy other people. You just improve on what they're doing. So our ancestors that came here on the ship had done a lot of work for us in terms of art, fashion, and accessories. They had done a whole lot. So what I did when I was in school in England was to go to the British museums. Have more of our history than we do in Africa, because they stole a bunch of lots of things from us. And the libraries are filled with books, and the museums are filled with artifacts and art and stuff from Africa. So I made sure every day I visited a museum or a library, and I kind of drew objects and motifs and things from our ancestors that were stolen and lodged in British museums. So I just try and pick up from there, from where our ancestors stopped or where they took a break. So I pick up all the motifs and designs and textile designs and clothing styles, because everything they made had a reason why they made them the way they made them.
Right.
Because if you look at what is called dashiki here, which is traditional Yoruba top, it's a buba. That's the original name for the dashiki. Okay. Dashiki has no arm. The traditional dashiki has no sleeves. It's open by the armpit, and it's free and loose. They do that because the weather is really, really, really hot in Africa.
Okay.
So when you wear it, you leave room for circulation, because the armpit is open, so air can go through on both sides. And the pants, there's some pants that are baggy pants like the Japanese wear for taekwondo and all that. Those pants are worn because of the weather also. So when it's loose, the air there be circulation in your body and you don't feel hot. And then there are clothes that they made for hunters and farmers. You know, you don't go to the farm with a 3-piece outfit. No, you don't go hunting with a hat and huge clothing. You want short pants and loose fitting clothing. So those have become styles also. The hunters, you know, you have big pockets on the side, so when you kill something, you could put in your pocket. Or if it's hot, because it's going to be hot, while hunting in the woods. So you wear something that's really loose, but you carry in your pouch things that you can cover yourself with at night when it gets a little bit colder. So, those are the things the styles that inform the styles that I do and the ones that I started with. But, I've evolved since then. I've married African textile techniques with my own, original techniques of making fabric. Sometimes I marry Western styles with African styles, or Western styles with African fabric.
Yes.
And so I evolved with original, going by what the Japanese CEO said, the Sony CEO said, that you need to stand out. You need to make your own things different from everybody else. So that's how I've survived all these years.
Well, I tell you, Jimmy, you've done an excellent and very good job at doing that and standing out, because even I go all the way back, and I'm telling you, it was more than 30 years ago when I walked into Kobo's and got into a dialogue with Bawa, and he started showing me the clothing. Your clothing stood out he had, different, he had clothing from different designers that were in there. And again, you're taking into consideration, I had never bought any clothing that were considered African clothing. I was caught up, with the European American mindset that this is the way we're supposed to dress. We're here, we're this country. And when I looked at it, I was just compelled. It was like, I got to buy this. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. The colors. Yeah. You are gifted when it comes to blending colors and everything, and those designs. And I just have to mention this. I don't know if you can remember, but you designed a pair of pants, because I've got them, okay? And they're black. But down at the bottom, they have like kind of silver, white, like mask on them, okay? Do you remember those?
That's such a long time, because I'm constantly producing. I hardly remember the things I did 30 years ago.
Okay.
I make new things every day.
Got you. Those pants, I put them on about a month ago. I hadn't worn them for a while, but they are still, when I look at them, it's like just mind-blowing to me. I've just never seen anybody putting out fashion this way. I'm actually surprised why some of the big fashion houses hadn't actually tried to get you and to go to work with them. Or is that the case? Have any of them tried to bring you on board?
Yeah, most of my work is one of a kind. So they are, and it's slow fashion. The fabric that I bought like 20 years ago that are still in my collection that I haven't used. So wow. the big name stores are looking for fast fashion.
Okay.
Like things that are mass produced in the Far East, and they're inexpensive, really cheap, $20, $15, $30. But I put history into my work. I put energy. I put my soul into my work. So when the time is right, and they have sections for wearable art, one of a kind pieces, or limited edition pieces, everything will fall into place.
Okay. So now what you're saying is basically yours is not assembly line. Your production is not an assembly line.
No, it's not. No.
Got you. No. Now I'm starting to get the picture. So there's no, or maybe, are there two pieces that are alike, or each piece is customized? Or it has its own individuality?
I've started doing limited editions, but the dye or the print is not going to be in exactly the same place as the other. So each one is one of a kind.
Yes.
They could be the same colors if I dye them at the same time, or if I print them at the same time. But the dye does not fall in the same place. Once the garment is made, the dye or the print will not be in exactly the same spot as the other. So in other words, you won't see yourself walking down the street.
And that is so true from my own knowledge of your clothing and experience. And one other thing that I want to say, I can put on one of my custom European suits that were actually custom made for me. Mm-hmm. Or I can put on a Jimmy King and walk down the street, and I guarantee you I'm going to get more compliments from wearing the Jimmy King than I am the custom European clothing. And that's just a fact. That is a fact. Yes. And I mean,
thank God.
Yes, I've had clothing on and people will come up to me and want to touch and feel it and everything. I mean, look, in the listening audience, I'm telling you, this is a master who is on the air speaking. If you see his clothing, you'll see what I'm talking about. This is truly a master. And as he has stated, he feels that he's only the vessel. And these things are coming from another dimension through him. So with that being stated, what I want you to do right now is just give the name of your company and your contact information. I want to do that a number of times, but could you do that now?
Yeah, surely. My name is Jimmy King. So I took the Jimmy at the end of the name and use it for business. So it's Jimmy King. It's Jimi King. If you Google it, you should be able to find me on all the social medias and on Google. My store is on gallery on 1408 North Capitol Street, Northwest Washington, D.C. 1408 North Capitol Street, Northwest Washington, D.C. And by the way, on Sunday, this coming Sunday the 18th,
yes,
we have a Facebook and Instagram live sale. So it'll be like a mini fashion show.
Wow.
We'll have a few models, with our contemporary summer 2021 line with nice, bright colors, all pinks and shades of red and orange and yellows and purple and really nice styles, flowy, soft, stretchy fabrics, linens and silks. So it's like a bunch of, you'll be watching an artwork in movement.
Wow, that sounds very, very interesting. And you say that's going to be this coming Sunday?
Yeah, it's Sunday from 3 to 5:30 on Facebook and Instagram and Zoom.
Okay, now if people want to attend that, how do they go about that?
On Facebook.
Shop. What I mean is on Facebook. Yeah, but if they want to see it.
Yeah, if they want, I'll have to send you a flyer and a link.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think if you go on Facebook, just to Jimmy King, JIMIKING on Facebook, and go to live.
Got you.
It should be there. Should be there. Or go to Jimmy King event. If you go to Jimmy King event, you should be able to click on the event and it will pop up. But it's from 3 to 5:30 p.m. on Sunday.
Okay, so it's from 3 to 5:30, and I see you using a creative mind, even with the promotion of your products. It's like you're doing like a mini fashion show, as you've stated, but doing it on Facebook. I mean, so awesome, right. So awesome. This is very good. Well, I'll tell you what, time is running. We're going to take a break in a few minutes, and but don't go anywhere. Mr. King, stick around. I've got to finish this on the flip side. So what we'll do right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break. Don't go anywhere. Again, we've got Mr. Jimmy King on. He's one of the best in the East or the West. It doesn't matter. When it comes to fashion and clothing, he's on top of his game. So with that being stated, Mr. Rock, DJ, let's take our break, and we'll be back on the flip side.